American Eagle halftime show. Linnell William, Denton Day. Right now, the Commanders are taking care of business 14-3. We're at the 2-minute warning, so we're going to be with you for the final 2 minutes of this game, and then we are commercial-free live for the entirety of the half. We are the only halftime show that covers the Commanders that is commercial-free. We'll start, though, now this offense can get the ball back. If they can score here on this next drive, I'm not saying the game is over, but you give yourself a lot of wiggle room entering halftime if you go up either 17-3 or the potential of 21-3.
Yeah, you're seeing some of the, first game jitters, I guess, on offense with the drops that we've seen. But other than that, man, defensively they've been absolutely awesome. What was the number one thing we talked about during the pregame show? Are they going to be better at stopping the run? They have been excellent with that. We've seen a multitude of different fronts already. Javon Kinlaw lined up at defensive end. We've seen 5-man fronts. It's been really cool to see. But yeah, you're right. If they score, like it feels like this bad boy may be over. I mean, they've done a really nice job just getting consistent pressure on Russell Wilson. Was a little scared when Cam Scatterboot came in. It felt like it was a different type of vibe they was playing with.
That guy is a bruiser in every sense of the word. So he's a little dangerous. Washington has the football at their own 45-yard, their own 41-yard line here. They should be up more. Jaden and Terry missed on a play that would have been a touchdown. It looks like he's looking over the middle again. Oh, Jalen Lane, Lord have mercy.
Ball's a little behind him. I mean, yeah, the ball placement has been, if we're being super critical and evaluating him like a top 5 quarterback that we think he is, the ball placement's got to be a little bit better. On the Debo drop, he's kind of high. On the Ertz drop, he was a little bit behind him. On that Lane drop,
that Ertz drop was tough.
Ball was a little bit behind him. Yeah. And
he misses Terry on the deep shot. So that brings up a second and 10.
So he ran up to Terry after that and tapped him on the chest. But on the Fox broadcast, they were showing him, he said, just keep running. Just keep running.
Yeah.
So, but no, you kind of expected to see this. That's what we talked about when you don't throw a pass at all through the course of the preseason. You're going to have some, oh my gosh, Jalen Lane stats first.
There we go. I mean, what has been nice is that even though they're not having, massive numbers statistically, all of the receivers are playing well. Like, even if a guy just drop a pass, they come back right the next play, and they make a big-time catch. So, like, they're making plays when necessary. Lord have mercy, but Connerly's getting crushed, man.
Yeah, well, they've left him by himself. But Jaden knows he got to get rid of the football. That's why he's patting his chest. But
that's terrible. Yeah. Connerly's been getting beat like a drum a little bit.
It's tough, man. Like, this is your first career game going up against these guys. And I said it during the pregame. I know it's a situation where, like, he looked good during camp, but it's different when you're going up against Thibodeau and Burns. Like, in the red zone.
This is a little bit on Jaden.
Yeah, he got to get rid of the football.
Step up and get rid of the football, but he can't step up because Tunsil, I don't know if Tunsil loses, but there's a guy right in his face if he steps up.
Yeah, he got beat inside. Yeah, Tunsil got beat inside on that one. Yeah.
That's a great defensive play from the Giants. But it brings up a 2nd and 20. Thankfully, they have guys that can go cut a big chunk of that. And then, look, man, we haven't seen a 4th down yet where they have been in position to go for it. But I can't imagine if it's a 4th and 4 at midfield that you're punting.
No, I doubt that that's going to be the situation. We get the ball. They don't get the ball.
The Giants get the ball. Washington started with the ball, and that was where we had that first Zach Ertz drop.
Yeah, it makes that last stop even more important, but I think it's huge to get points.
A screenplay for Debo. Oh, if Debo cuts that to the right.
Yeah, he would have been out of there. But no, like just
he gets a chunk back of it though, so he gets back to midfield. That'll be about a 3rd and 10.
They've looked like they've stayed a step ahead offensively, and it's crazy because they have had some negative plays where they've been behind the sticks and they've been able to overcome it. But offensively, like, it looks like New York has absolutely no answer. And then, to me, like, the biggest thing that stood out is the way Washington is playing defensively. It hasn't been a situation where, they're missing tackles like I expected. Like, there were a couple of missed tackles in the first half. Like, Frankie missed one. But, like, it's not as frequent as I would have thought it would have been for it being, your first game of the season. I thought they would look clunky in spots, but for the most part, man, like, I'm really impressed with the way that they played.
If you're just joining us, we have not officially started the halftime show yet. We got a minute 15 left, so we're just hanging out, live reaction, having a good time here. We will start the halftime show once we get to the half. We're the only show in the DMV or across the nation that is live, local, and commercial-free for the halftime show. You know what you don't have to watch, Linnell, during halftime? That silly-ass Meghan Trainor ad where she's like, who's Patrick Mahomes? Maybe abolish that for the rest. Like, I don't know how much they paid for that ad, but never again, please. Jaden finds Debo. Man, that connection. Debo is so much more than just a screen guy. So much more than just a screen guy. That's a big play to Debo. Look, that's on. That's not on Banks. That's on Phillips. It looks like doesn't have a chance.
Not a chance. Yeah, he's been awesome, and it's one of the things you notice during training camp, bro. Like those two have a clear rapport. During camp, it felt like it was a lot of the deep balls, and then what we just saw there, that crossing route. Like Jaden missed them all, or I don't want to say missed them, but you probably should have caught that one earlier in the first half.
He put zip on it. Like it was high in zip. And, I was talking with some of the guys in our fishbowl where we were having a little watch party. We didn't see Jaden have a lot of like crazy zip last year, but that was a one where he missed him earlier. He's just zipping it in there.
Oh, that's the delayed game. Man.
Yeah, I don't know how the officials aren't. They stopped the play. I don't know if a Giant player is injured, but a Giant player grabbing Austin Eckler as Austin Eckler's trying to get up. I mean, this is like classic Brian Dable. I think he's kind of a schmuck. Like he did.
You see the way Malik Neighbors
he's yelling at Malik Neighbors. I think he's bald-headed Kings. He's just not a great member of the fraternity there. Brian Burns limping off of the field, but yeah, this is like. I'm not a Brian Dable fan. If he comes and be an offensive coordinator here when Clifford eventually gets a head coaching job, sick. But until that day comes, Brian Dable can kick rocks.
Yeah. Overall, though, man, like I'm super impressed. They've looked crisp for the most part offensively, man. And I think the way that they're window dressing the run game. First of all, the offensive line getting crazy movement in the run game. The pass protection's gotten a little spotty.
Yeah.
But the movement that they're getting up front. You saw Tunsil and Brandon Coleman pulling. Like, who the hell wants to see that coming at you if you're a defender?
Especially on that Bill touchdown. Yes, you had both of them pulling, and I was like, get out the way. I mean, those are two steamrollers.
Bill showing good vision as well, but the O-line has been really, really good at this one, man. Jaden Daniels has had all types of time to throw the football. And he's been pretty accurate with it as well. But the running game, the way Cliff is window dressing it with misdirection – and in the motion, I think is really causing these Giants defenders have to think.
Oh, how do they not call a Giant defensive back all over Noah Brown, literally from the top of the route? He basically just hits him in the prom pose, and he just rides his hip the entire way, full arms covered around like he loves him. He thinks they're going to last together forever.
I love seeing McNichols here in this end of half situation.
Can we get a Terry look in the red zone here? They really haven't been looking a ton at Terry outside of the deep shot. I know it was like kind of cliche and maybe a little annoying how much people were like, well, you need to be there for the training camp reps and training camp reps. This is why he was not there for the training camp reps. And you miss him on that deep route, which is not out of the ordinary. Unfortunately, we saw that 4 times in the Saints game last year, but you can easily point to like, well, if you had more reps with him, maybe that doesn't happen.
Look, it's one of those situations where I don't even know if you blame it on lack of reps, but he overthrew him. But he was saying on the broadcast, got to keep running. I think overall, though, in terms of lack of targets for Terry McLaurin, that's what we said last year. That's just what it is. Jaden's not going to force feed the football anywhere. Coverage dictates where it goes.
Right.
Consistently talks about that. But I think offensively, there's really not many complaints you could have. I love how crisp they've looked on that side of the football. Not a lot of penalties and
empty backfield and a sprint for Jaden. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. He caught him off guard. They don't have any timeouts though. Washington's already used their 3 timeouts. So they're just gonna go here on 3rd down.
Wow.
On a 3rd and 1. I love it if you score in that and then he just gets it out of there. If the sprint, the design quarterback draw works, it's brilliant. With no timeouts, though, and on 3rd down not getting the 1st down, you put yourself in a tough spot. Clock's running with 16 seconds, and no one has any idea what the play call is next. If you're going to come out of that off of a timeout, you got to have a second play call ready to go. So little messy there.
Also thought the refs are letting the Giants get away with a bunch of garbage in terms of laying on dudes, and I know it's part of the tricks of the trade, so to speak, but geez.
We got a penalty on
intentional grounding on Daniels, I think.
How? These officials they're in preseason mode, man. They're in preseason mode.
I mean, there's no receiver in the area. He's still inside the pocket. I think that's why the call was made, but
so they're gonna bring out the field goal. I think Dable's saying he wants He wants a runoff.
Got to score there in that situation, though, man.
Yeah. So Washington comes up empty, and this officially starts the halftime portion of the show. If you're just joining us, we're doing this every single week. We don't get in-game action anymore, but you get Linnell and I at halftime. We're going live at the 2-minute warning every single week. Half in the books, 14-3. New York's going to start the half with the football, but a little bit of a sour taste if you're Washington. You want to come away with points there. You come away with nothing, and it's just like, ugh, that should have been potentially 21-3, at the very least 17-3. And I like the play that they called on that final play, which is catch them sleeping. They're not expecting Jaden to just run it up the gut, but if you don't get to the first down, if you don't get to the end zone, you put yourself in a bad spot, and then he gets a grounding, and the clock runs out, and it's 14-3.
Good thing about it, Washington's defense has been absolutely dominant in this game. Fox just threw up the graphic. New York's averaging 2.9 yards a play. They have gotten absolutely nothing offensively throughout the entirety of this one. And I think, the big reason why is Washington's front four, man. Like, that group, Javon Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise has popped. Like, they're all just making plays. And the thing that, I was curious to see, and they talked about this a lot during the offseason, like the benefit of bringing in the big body dudes, you're seeing a bunch of different fronts already, like 5-man fronts. You've seen Kinlaw lined up at edge. You've seen sets where Eddie Goldman, Kinlaw, and Painter in the game at the same time. So Jacob Martin's made a couple plays. So they're a deep group. I was saying it during the pregame. What were those snaps going to look like when Payne and Kinlaw weren't on the field? I don't think they've both not been on the field at the same time all game.
No.
So maybe that's the plan.
The worst part about the defense has very easily been the penalties. Like, the penalties have been, kind of killer for Washington. It basically gave the Giants 3 points, which I didn't love that hands to the face penalty, but nobody asked me, whatever. The penalties have been bad. And you look at the discrepancy, Washington's been penalized 7 times for 44 yards in the first half. 7 times. It looks very reminiscent to what we saw in that preseason game number 1 against the New England Patriots, where they were just completely undisciplined. They were making silly mistakes, boneheaded mistakes. So you see a little bit more of that, but it's almost all, not all of it, but almost all of it on defense.
Yeah, and it's tough because a couple of them, like the hands to the face was garbage, I thought. And I think that's one of those penalties where DQ can live with. The offsides penalties is the ones that I know Dan Quinn's going to be like, okay, I know you're eager, you're trying to jump the snap, be smart.
Be smart.
Be smart. But
and 2 guys jumping was not great.
Right. Luckily for them, New York has looked inept offensively. Now, there have been a couple of misses due to the pressure. Like, there was a miscommunication on the 3rd down where Trey Amos and Samers still miscommunicated. Wandale Robinson's wide open in the flat.
Right.
But because of Dietrich Wise's rush, Russell Wilson has to drop the arm slot, and then boom, forces an incompletion. So I think the defense has been the story of the half. If you would have told me they were going to get this type of performance, I would have said, okay. But moving forward, I know it's the Giants, so there's that caveat of, like, they're not a very good football team. Offensive line's not good. They have dominated, though. So that's probably my biggest takeaway to this point is just how well, Washington's looked on the defensive side. They have been dominant.
They have. Javon Kinlaw's made plays. Daron Payne had a sack. It was a great play by Daron Payne on that sack as well. So I think the defensive front has been really good. The suplex situation, I would have liked maybe to not have a suplex. Right. I love professional wrestling, so the fact that Marshawn Lattimore was able to suplex him, very loose hips, very, very nice. I don't understand also how the Giants weren't penalized for that, because they then came and started hitting and ripping guys' helmets off, and I was always taught the old adage, Linnell, of it's the second guy that gets penalized, and for whatever reason, that just did not count for the Giants.
Yeah, it's weird. It's week 1 for the refs too, though, bro. So that's the one thing I'll say. I give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but
man, to hell with those refs. Get it right, bastards.
Yeah. To their credit, though, the fact that they have 7 penalties and have still looked this good on defense, they're still only giving up 2.9 yards of play. Like I said it during the week, if you were this Commanders front 7 in particular, with all of the noise that we had this offseason about, well, are they going to be better stopping the run? Are they going to be better this? Or are they going to be better there? They've lived up to it. They've answered the bell. They've taken the challenge personally. And I get it, right? There's no Evan Neal. There's no Andrew Thomas. But still, it has been – normally we throw around the word dominate very loosely. They have dominated up front.
They have, on both sides, too, as you have mentioned. So here's the half by the numbers. Washington leads 14-3. Jaden Daniels has played well but there has been some inaccuracy. 11 of 18, so his completion percentage, you remember last year, the completion percentage was crazy at the start. Not a crazy completion percentage, but he has 153 yards and a touchdown pass. It was a beauty to Zach Ertz. And how many times did we see that play last year? Just the little pivot route in, and then Jaden finds him in a tight window. He's been really good with some of the tight window throws so far. I have loved what I've seen from Jaden, even if it's not like a 15 for 18.
Yeah, they've been highlighting it on the broadcast. The zip that he's got on the football has really stood out, especially on these intermediate throws. And the thing that I love, and this is the best part about what we saw from him last year, ball placement, accuracy, and then he gets to the top of the drop and it comes out. There's no patting the football. You saw him do it once, and then what happened? He got sacked for it. So he understands what his little flaws are, where he needs to get better. But I think they've been really crisp on both sides of the football in terms of like it being week one, and you haven't really played much in the preseason. People in the chat, you can type at us in the chat, obviously, are talking about Josh Connolly Jr. I said I wouldn't help Laremy Tunsil at all. They're not helping Josh Connolly every play. I didn't think you need to, but you know how it is in a football game. The play where Brian Burns got, was it a sack or was it ended up being only a pressure?
Which one?
Over Connolly.
Oh, yes, sack. Yeah.
Beat him immediately off the ball. And, that's where it's like, damn. You're lucky you have Jaden Daniels because he can see it. It's not coming from the left side.
Right.
And he can make a move and react. He's a quick, twitched-up dude. But, I would be helping Connolly out a little bit more. But here's the thing. When you have to help out Connolly, you can't send, your running back into the route. You can't – Deebo Samuel's route, whoever's in the slot, their route becomes nothing but like a flare. The tight end becomes nothing but like a flat option if you have to help the rookie. He's going to get beat. We got to just understand that that's what it is. He's a damn rookie, and he's going up against three of the better edge rushers in our sport. So it's going to happen.
Haven't really seen a ton from Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be much more of a factor. It's really been the Brian Burns show, and to the credit of the Giants, they're putting him on Connolly. And look, one of the Brian Burns sacks, I guess it'll technically count as a sack. Mm-hmm. It was just a screen play that got blown up. Really, I put that on Chris Moore because Chris Moore lost the block, and because he lost the block, the defensive back is now in the throwing lane, and Jaden has nowhere to go with it, and they just read it really well, so they're staying home. I think he needs to get better. He'll get better. Not too terribly worried about it. I do think that some of the wide receivers can help him, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
I'm kind of good on Chris Moore. He made the one catch. It was a great catch. Great catch. I don't. If he's not going to block, I don't know that I need to see him a ton. And maybe that's the problem with the Terry situation too, because Terry hasn't been getting any of these reps in training camp. I don't know if he's comfortable blocking right now. You need, if you're going to do the screen plays, you got to win your blocks. Yeah. You cannot be getting blown up the way that they tried on that one and they got completely blown up.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch that element of it. I think for the most part with the screens, they've been good. On the one where Jaden pumped it and then turned the other way, I think that was play design. I don't think that was because the screen got blown up. I think you had Laremy Tunsil blocking down. The idea was to get Jaden Daniels one-on-one with the defensive end, and hopefully he makes a play and can get outside. I love everything about the play design from Cliff. I know we were all geeked up that he stayed here this offseason. Please don't leave. He just – the way he's window dressing it, there's sequence with the plays, I've loved it. The running game in particular is what's really stood out to me, window dressing it with misdirection and motion, things of that nature. I've been super impressed by it. And we got to get in the build too, man.
I was going to say, I need to make sure I don't phrase this disrespectfully. It's going to sound disrespectful. And if you have takeaways in our chat, this is interactive. We're going to be reading the chat here in just a second. So give us some of your big takeaways if you're watching us on YouTube or Twitter. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Would Brian Robinson have scored on that play?
No, probably not. Probably doesn't get into the end zone. The whole kill is about that play. It kind of got blown up low-key. And, Bill just made something shake, man. That's what happens when you're a young, dynamic back. I'm super happy for him, bro, because think about how the NCAA just completely screwed him last year.
Completely. I mean, it's a corrupt organization, but this is not the
Well, yeah, exactly what I'm about to say. But Washington ultimately being the beneficiary of that, the thing that I love the most about the run, there's a level of patience, and you also see once the decision made is, boom, let me get to my spot.
Right.
So I've absolutely loved what he's done. There's just a burst that he runs with, and people were complaining about B-Rob's vision a lot last year. I don't know if it was as bad as people made it seem, but you could clearly see the difference right now between Robinson and Merritt.
Very, very much so. And I was a little nervous at first because he had that first run, and it was a yard, and I was just like, oh no, we've hyped this guy so much. Everyone has not shut up about him,
Right.
and his first carry, he just runs right into the defense. You're like, no, damn it, please. This is why you give multiple carries. He's been good, right? So he has the touchdown. He has 4 carries for 24 yards. That's 6 yards a pop. He's averaging 11. Jaden is the team's leading rusher with 40 yards on 5 carries. I'm still holding out for my Jaden Daniels longest rush of 15 and a half. I gave that out on the pre-show. We give out our bets on the pre-show if you're new here. So his longest run has been 11. So both those guys have been really good. Austin Eckler hasn't been bad either. 5 carries, 23 yards. The team is averaging 6.2 yards a pop.
Because they're getting major movement on the interior, man. Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biotish, Nick Allegretti are all winning at the point of attack. And what's been interesting to me is when you think about the Giants, it's like, damn, where do we run? On the edge, you got Thibodeau, Burns, and Carter. On the interior, it's Dexter Lawrence. They don't give a damn where you run. They're moving it. They're getting movement on the perimeter. They're getting movement on the inside. I just love watching these big dudes move. Talk about the offensive linemen. Like, they've gone to more of like your gap scheme to where you're getting more pulls and counters and whams and that bounce around that we saw from Bill Krosky-Merritt. It's been sexual in the run game as far as the schematics are concerned.
Borderline erotic, as the former head coach of Quan Martin and Johnny Newton would once say. You know whose name we haven't called, which is very positive? No Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
No Dexter, and that's a credit to the offensive line because generally speaking, when you go up against, I mean, now that Aaron Donald's retired, arguably the best defensive tackle in football. I mean, it's him. It's Chris Jones, maybe Mr. King of Spit, Jalen Carter. Pause, maybe not. But the fact that you're not hearing his name called is a testament to the job the offensive line is doing in terms of getting movement and winning at the point of attack.
Yeah, for sure. And I see some folks in the chat talking about, well, the O-line is playing good outside of Connerly. I wouldn't even say he's played bad. It's just going to stick out when he gets beat right off the ball and it's a sack. It's going to happen. Y'all not talking about Laramie Tunsil. He got beat inside and gave up a sack. So, like, it's going to happen, man. These dudes, it's their first time all playing together. As far as Connerly goes, just help him out.
Right. Just
help him out.
John Bates in there. So we're reading the chat. We want your biggest takeaways. We're interactive. That's the nice part about doing this on social media. We're interactive. We want some of your big takeaways. I'm going to read one here from Malcolm. He says the D-line looks improved. I 100% agree.
Yes.
Javon Kinlaw is a major reason for that, but Dietrich Wise made a couple of plays, and he made a couple of plays in space. Even Dorrance Armstrong made a couple of plays. Paul M. says, I want Daron Payne to keep up the intensity. Preach. Daron Payne was really good in the first half.
Yes.
Not quite like that contractor good, but he has the sack. He didn't necessarily have a TFL, but he led to a much shorter gain than what could have been a 7-yard gain, stopping a guy at the line of scrimmage and then allowing his teammates to come and help him. I think Daron Payne's looked really good.
For sure, man. He's doing a good job, too, just stacking guys up at the point of attack, not getting moved off the football, something we talked about in the pregame. I got to show some love to somebody in particular, too. We shouted out Kinlaw from being from the DMV. Eddie Goldman, have yourself a day, brother, because I was worried about the snaps that didn't happen, with Kinlaw and Payne on the field. Eddie Goldman's played really well in the limited snaps that he's had. He even started the game.
And who else has played really well as we're a few minutes away from the beginning of the second half? Will Harris is a hitter.
Yes.
That guy flies around.
Yes.
He's played really, really good. Kickoff is coming up here. Join us at the 2-minute warning for the end of the game. And then we have post-game exclusive on social media. Kickoff is coming up here. We're out of here. We'll see you in like an hour.